Welcome to Secular Soup. Stay tuned for real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever the fuck else Amy and Amy want to talk about, because this is their show. And get ready for a whole lot of motherfucking profanity.
You want to hear a secret?
I won't tell anybody. Go ahead. If I sit next to you, I'm going to get gonorrhea. It's going to jump into me. Just two ladies hanging out.
Is it okay for me to make fun of his neck waddle if I make fun of my own neck waddle?
I'm not sure.
That's a real ethical conundrum.
Would you know if you were born a lizard person, or can you be like adopted into the...
I think you know.
We're such professionals.
We really are.
Buckle up, bitches. It's time to have some soup.
I'm Amy with a Y, and you're listening to yet another special episode of Secular Soup, where we try to highlight some Black voices in the atheist community. This week, we actually have something a little different. We are just going to play an episode from one of our favorite podcasts called Unapologetix. And Nikki, one of the hosts of the podcast, is actually working with us on our Patreon-only series, where we review the show Mrs. America on Hulu, which, if you haven't become a patron and checked that out, I highly recommend it. Nikki is fucking hilarious, and we just have so much fun with Nikki. We love her. And her show is herself and her partner Brent, and they are an interracial couple living in Florida, and their show is, seriously, you need to check it out. You need to subscribe. It is an awesome podcast. They are fun, but they also cover serious news topics, and especially Nikki's insights are always they just wow me every single time, which is why we wanted to play this episode for you. And if you are already listening to Unapologetix, you probably heard this episode, but if not, check this out. You're gonna like it, and then you're gonna go subscribe to Unapologetix, and then you're gonna give them some of your money on Patreon. So we're hoping to get one more of these interviews recorded, and then it will be back to Amy and I doing our usual shenanigans and bitching about lipstick and men. So we are gonna be doing that again, don't worry. But we really just wanted to take this time and give up our platform to some people who probably deserve it more than we do. So hope you enjoy this, hope you subscribe, and we will see you next week.
An unapologetic atheist interracial couple's progressive response to the fucking internet.
Hello, and welcome to Unapologetix, the unapologetic progressive skeptic's response to the fucking internet. I am Brentley.
And I'm Nikki.
And,
hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brentley. We always start out that way. No, you always start out that way. Anyway, so yes, it's been a minute, folks. We are back. We took, I guess an extra week off, because frankly, we couldn't handle it.
Sorry.
We're humans and citizens of this country, just like you are. So we were watching in horror as everyone lost their fucking minds, and a lot of people disappointing me, which is not new. Disappointing us.
Yeah, it was a very disappointing news week, I have to say. And
just, it's hard because this is a time where I think we all, those of us who believe that Black Lives Matter, let me preface that, excuse me. I think we all just want to do everything we fucking can. And then you have the backdrop of a pandemic, and then, a very scary time for everybody in every way. And it's hard to not just get down sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially when you're doing sort of what we're doing, which is like looking through all of the news, just shuffling through all of it to try to find stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's just, it was almost like we had 8 to 10 stories, I want to say, per show before. And it became this, like, almost, like, 60 to 70 per week, you know? And it was almost just exhausting just looking at all this terrible shit and these terrible responses to Black Lives Matter from all around. Just you're just getting it from everywhere online. Like, you know, people in my friends list.
I've been literally disappointed by like every single group. I feel like, you know, and like especially the gay Republicans, like
the gay Republicans.
Yes, have had, you know, I shouldn't say all gay Republicans, but there have been some gay Republicans that have had choice words because of, you know, the fact that this is happening right now in June, which is Pride Month. And it's like, listen, you can't really like plan when cops are going to kill, you know, murder a black man. Like, we don't, you know, that's not really on the calendar. And we apologize, but also many of us are queer. Many of us are also gay. Like, you're not like you're what are you talking about?
It reminds me of Ari Stillman. They have like a little logo for their name on Facebook, and it said the first Pride Month was a riot.
Yes.
Or the first Pride was a riot. I think it said that. That was really cool. I was like, oh yeah, shit.
Yes. So, giving props to Marsha P. Johnson, who was instrumental in Stonewall and deserves her accolades, like, period, point blank. And then, you know, it's a moment, it's an opportunity to say something. It's Pride Month. Let's elevate, you know, Black trans women, because why the fuck not? Like, hello.
Right.
And then you get pushback because for some reason, you know, Black women only matter if they're supporting Black men, and if they're not, you know, it's, you know, misandry or whatever. And it's just, what the fuck? And then to the many, you know, different groups of folks who, you know, y'all know, you've been on the same internet, you know. So yeah, I am Black and a person, so that just gets to me. And you know, I was supposed to do a show where I was going to be able to talk about this a little bit more deeply, but it didn't work out. And you know, it sucks because I really wanted to talk about, you know, I know there's this trope of like, listen to Black women, and it's not listen to Black women because, you know, we're just so wise. It's listen to Black women because our lives are literally intersecting with almost every institution in this country. And if you want a dissertation on how they work, you can ask a fucking Black woman. Like, if you want, you know, issues like should we improve fucking TANF, you should probably ask a fucking Black woman, because they probably have themselves or a family member that's dependent on it. And it's not a bad thing. It's just where we are right now.
TANF? What is that?
Temporary assistance for needy families. It took over the previous welfare system. So it's like meant to be something that's supposed to help, because it's like we're getting trapped in the systems that are broken. Somebody who needs unemployment, now that's like such a Black issue now. Unemployment, eviction, that's going to become a huge issue that's affecting Black families. I right now have a brother who is in prison. He's serving life. We're trying to appeal that now. And it's been terrifying. Like, he keeps being on lockdown, off lockdown, on lockdown, off lockdown because of COVID scares. And there's like, you know, and you're powerless, and that's how they want it to be. And it is fucking awful. Turning on the local news and like, or watching any news and having people entertain conversations that are just fucking racist. Yeah. They're just fucking racist and are reliant on things that aren't even real. Like, you think you're a statistician, but you're not. You're fucking not. You don't know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, like reading stats.
You don't know what you're doing.
Oh my god, yeah.
And you're using it all wrong, and you don't even know, because again, you don't know what you're doing. And that's not an indictment against folks who don't take on higher education, but it's certainly an indictment on those who think that they understand the aspects of arguments, but really, really and truly are being led down a road that's just full of propaganda.
Well, what it is it's backwards logic, right? So what they're doing is they want to sound like they have a valid and sound argument, but what they do is they start by having that argument and then work their way backwards to find stats and stuff in their favor, leave out big portions of like why those stats wouldn't actually pan out that way, you know. But if you say it in a particular way, you can, you know, it's just to make the argument and that's it. And then they stop thinking after that because I've got enough information to make my argument and now I'm done. And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
And meanwhile, Black lives and bodies are still on the fucking line. Right. So congratulations, you've made your point. Black people are still dying. And because of that, other people are dying on top of that as well. Because if we treat Black people this poorly, we end up treating a lot of people poorly. That's the thing. I mean, it's like, it's so... Okay. So, Brent and I had to take a break.
Yeah.
And
that was the point of all that.
In the future, we might have some lighter shows. Yes. Don't be surprised if you just get a whole We Be Nerdin episode.
Right.
Or all the headlines are about, you know, wacky shit.
Puppies.
Instead of like our very real public officials that are doing awful shit. We're still going to try to come with, you know, as much news as we can, but it's very much going to be based on like when we can handle it.
Right. And that's because that's kind of the thing that our show, that we do on our show, that and I know a lot of people do this on their shows and stuff. It's like you talk about the most difficult shit to talk about and the most, you know, traumatizing situations and things, and we try to come at it in a way that's like, we're still having fun while we're talking and stuff, but we're talking about some of the most heavy shit, and sometimes that shit just weighs on both of us.
Yeah.
You know, after doing it for so long, you know, it just becomes a weight, you know, sometimes where you're just like, I don't know how much more of this I can handle. Mm-hmm. I know we're supposed to be able to handle anything because that's our job, right? Is to talk about the heavy shit and have fun, but sometimes we can't, you know.
And
so.
it's not our jobs. We have very real jobs that we go to for 40 plus hours a week. So
that's true.
This is meant to be something for us that, you know, sort of is restorative. And when we feel like it's not being restorative, we're going to put it on hold.
We just got to.
And, you know, we're always going to come back to it in some form because, you know,
we'll always be here.
Brent and I are loudmouths and we love talking.
We do.
And so, but we just felt like we needed a little break. So like we said, shows in the future might have a little bit longer of sections where we don't talk so deeply about super deep things, but that's still our jam, and that's still something we're gonna do. We're still gonna try, you know, to have episodes that are not too long, but again, we're sorry. We like having long conversations.
Yeah.
And sometimes that leads to some side conversations. We try to keep it germane to like the main point of the, you know, subject that we're talking about, but you know, we
a guy that really stays on topic. Is that what he...
Yes, that's what that was.
He's my friend. He always stays on topic. Anyway.
Yeah,
it's become kind of a thing.
Senator Jermaine. He was always right on topic. So that's what's up with us right now. So you ready to get into some headlines?
Yeah, let's do some fucking headlines.
Headlines.
Unapologetix. Headlines. Now we have hopped into some headlines. Boop, boop. So, the big thing today, and right now, or lately, we should say, is defund the police.
Yes.
So,
defund the police. I think...
Or abolish. Abolish is good, too. I like that word.
Yes. It was so interesting because I think we all, like at the same time, saw how intellectually lazy most people are. Like, even people being paid, like, quadruple the salaries that we have.
Yeah.
Can't even be bothered to, like, look up something on Google.
Right. And the random fucking idiots on Facebook, I get. Like, you know, they don't research past a fucking meme. You know what I mean? Like, but the meme says so. It's got to be accurate.
Yeah.
No, but these are like real people, like big names.
People who are making a ton of money off of their mouths.
Yeah, and they're just. I swear, it's almost like I used to be with looking up information, was just refusing to look up information and just finding the information I wanted.
It's such a sign of bad faith when you don't even want to attack the argument on its merits.
Right.
You want to immediately say, well, y'all are doing a bad PR job by calling it defund the police. Yeah. And because you did that, I don't even have to engage in it.
Yeah, it's exactly. It basically makes it where it's like, oh, if I can find one little thing that I don't like that has nothing to do with the actual argument, then I can throw out your entire argument. And it's like, what? That's not how that works. But yeah, the big one for me, because I was, because I don't listen to this show generally. I really don't. It's on my list of like things, But Making Sense came on, Sam Harris's show. And I hate, actually,
he didn't talk about it, did he?
Oh yeah, he talked about it quite a bit.
Come on.
Yeah, and first of all, it's the most sinfully boring fucking show on the planet. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, you can make some people mad.
Oh my god, he's boring, dude. Like, he just fucking drones. No. Like, he could put anybody to sleep if he keeps talking. Anyway, but then, he went on to talk about, he was talking about defund the police. And of course, he prefaced it with, oh man, we all saw the video and we were all felt horrible about what had happened to George Floyd and everything. He's like, having said that,
yeah.
And then he went into why defunding the police will lead us to anarchy and the wild, wild west, and not doing the research, like not even knowing, like clearly, like I listened to quite a bit. I ended up turning it off after a bit because I was just like, okay, go to the next show, like cognitive dissonance or something, because but it's like he didn't look up the information, which is it's Sam fucking Harris. What's going on? And he's talking about it being the wild, wild west. It's like, dude, did you go and look up like what people actually mean when they mean that? It's everywhere. It's all anybody's talking about. Mm-hmm. How did you miss it?
Mm-hmm. But see, to him, people less smart than he is because they're in the social sciences came up with it, so it can't be valid.
I know. I'm sure he's got a big head.
Because if Sam Harris can do one thing in science, he can certainly tell us everything we need to know about how to live our lives, and government, history of institutions, everything. He knows it all. Yeah. Thanks for that contribution. Appreciate it. I thought it was wild when Meghan McCain basically admitted, she interviewed Kamala Harris and had no fucking idea what it meant, and so spent all this time basically being corrected by a senator on air and thinking that was like okay, because of course people went wild and were like, bitch, you came to your job where you make six figures unprepared. And she's like, it's not my job to know what these liberal lefties are talking about.
I just know whatever it is, it's stupid.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait, so you showed up to work to interview a senator about a whole ass movement you had no idea about?
Right.
And then proceeded to waste the audience's time with your misconceptions that just needed to be corrected. I guess maybe that was a good thing. I mean,
that's a tactic too, though. That's what they call sea lioning, right?
Yes, exactly.
What are you saying? What do you mean by this?
Exactly. But it's like, to me, I just feel
you're supposed to make a point while doing that.
Every time I see these things, I assume that conservatives need more. That's not enough. You need to really grapple with this. But then I remember Fox News exists,
right?
Rush Limbaugh exists, yep. Fucking Alex Jones exists. All of it exists to dumb down as much as humanly possible.
And paint it as black and white as possible.
Yeah.
Good guys, bad guys. And
that's I'm just if you're paying me six figures, I'm gonna deep dive this shit, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna ask some questions. I'm gonna get in there. Yeah. And then to just show up and be like, well, your lefty liberal policy is bad. Explain it.
Do nothing, Dems. Do nothing, Dems. Lock her up. No, I don't even do anything.
I'm just like 6-figure job. And then, of course, Ben Shapiro's been losing his mind. And also, it's been interesting because lately we're getting more and more reports of how he is basically gaming Facebook to use white supremacists to make a shit ton of money.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, they're basically targeting, like Daily Wire and such are targeting basically white supremacists, and they're making hands over fists.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't tell them
Yeah.
that, because they would have some really anti-Semitic things to say about that. Just saying, not me.
And of
but
course,
they would totally
he
say
just
that.
keeps saying, listen, I'm Jewish. There's no way I can be a white supremacist. I'm Jewish. And it's amazing how many people that works on.
You're like, yeah, I guess he can't be one, huh?
Yeah, like...
It doesn't have anything to do with what you say and believe.
mean,
It just has to do with what you are, and that's it.
I mean,
Jesus.
So there's just this interesting thing happening where we're seeing, what I call just basically being completely fucking intellectually lazy. Because if you don't even want to learn anything more because defund the police makes you so terrified that you don't want to get deeper into it, then I don't know what to say. Like, you can't handle most things. Like, you probably shouldn't even go to a fucking city council meeting. Like, I don't get, like, this is basic shit here. But it also begs people to start thinking deeper about things that I don't think a lot of people have wrestled with. Like when we talk about a criminal and what does it mean to be a criminal? What does it mean? Like, does it mean you get to be perpetually punished for the rest of your fucking life, which is basically what it means to be a felon in this country? Which is you just basically lose out on a shit ton of stuff. Student loans, housing, certain jobs, like voting, shit, like something so fundamental like voting. Like, we just have a system in place. And, let's not even talk about the financial aspect of being a quote unquote criminal and what that means. Like, it's a heavy question. Yeah. And then especially when you start talking about justice and what that looks like. Does it look like perpetually punishing someone for the rest of their lives for the felony in which they've already paid? Right. And then what is the fuck does that mean for society and rehabbing it and rehabbing the criminal, if that's such a thing, and like the harm versus not harm? Like, these are all things that are such deep questions. And it's almost like our mainstream media is not even equipped to start asking these questions because they keep covering it like, oh no, if we lose the police, then who do we call? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, first it like doesn't acknowledge that we already lived in a time in which there were no police, and yes, there were bad outcomes, but it wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like you were getting murdered on every street corner. Right. Let's not paint that picture, because humans are fundamentally just not like that. Yeah, like, that's just absurd. But it's also a question of like, there are plenty of other examples of places throughout the world that are doing, and even here in our own country, that are doing policing differently, and we have a framework for it. And what we're really saying is we're just too terrified to try. Right.
Because the status quo, I mean, it's almost like, it's like I always said, like, because we've always done it that way is never a good argument for why we should keep doing it that way. You know what I mean? Like, we have so many other options that would not waste tons and tons of fucking money. Yes. If these people were somehow held responsible, first of all. That's important. First and foremost. Right? And weren't called unless they were absolutely fucking necessary. Yeah. And I'd say, like, have a social worker and they stay in the car, and then the social worker can come out and be like, hey man, okay, we need you. But he can't do shit until the social worker says. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I would, and anything that he does that's fucked up and bad, like, the social worker reports it. Like, they have to be watched. I mean,
we don't even need to come up with all these scenarios, because there's so many different ways that it can be better. Yeah. That's the thing. There's so many different ways that it can improve, that the idea that there can be no improvement from where we are right now is utterly absurd. No. I mean, we get terrible outcomes. The crimes we do report rarely get fucking solved. They're constantly busting, I guess, people for shit that we don't give a fuck about, and forcing whole communities to basically fund their rackets. And we have very little to show for it, particularly in the African American community.
Yeah.
What is there to show for broken glass, policing? What is there to show for it?
Nothing.
It's done nothing. It's done nothing.
They solved 7% of fucking crime. 7%. And then costs every city a third of its budget. It's, because of all these fucking lawsuits.
And have now filled up prisons with people who have done nothing to deserve dying next to their fucking cellmates because they did something like a fucking petty crime.
Right.
That wouldn't have even been a crime.
Right.
In most circumstances.
And the fact, the budget, the thing is, the department is getting sued, not the cops. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest things. Our tax dollars are going to pay for these fuckheads that are just going around acting like assholes.
Who said these fuckheads? I mean, really. Really.
And letting them do it, and then they can't even personally be sued. The fucking department gets sued. So guess who's getting sued? We are. Our fucking tax dollars are just getting sued, and we're basically all paying so these guys can keep being assholes. Yep. It's fucking crazy.
And then for those who argue, but if we make it really hard to be a cop, then it's gonna be difficult to find people to take on the jobs. And have you ever stopped to think that maybe we're keeping out really great people who would be really great cops because they don't want to be complicit in a fucking awful system?
Right.
Like, how many people have just been like, law enforcement, hell no, I ain't finna get involved with that shit.
Fucking dumb, yeah.
Like, how many people would choose to do that instead of maybe going to the military or maybe becoming a teacher, and maybe we would have more empathetic fucking police officers? Like, stop buying what the union is telling you.
Right. Stop. Okay? They don't have your best interest at heart.
They don't give a fuck about you.
No.
They don't give a fuck about you. Like, stop believing everything that they say. Particularly, did you hear about that story where the cops were like, oh, they put bleach in they went to Shake Shack because their job is so important that they stopped to get Shake Shack. And they assumed, like, they drank their milkshake, and I guess they had gotten a little sick and it tasted like bleach. So they assumed everyone in Shake Shack had fucking, the workers at Shake Shack had bleached them, purposely poisoned them. And the New York Post ran with this story. What? And of course Shake Shack is like, holy fuck, what's going on? Reviewed the tape. Nothing of the sort happened. They were the first people to get a shake after the fucking thing had been cleaned, and the solution hadn't gone all the way out. They had done nothing differently to these drinks at all. It was
which does happen.
Mistake.
I've done that before. You know what I mean? I've made a drink after I clean the thing and be like, oh, there's a little bit of.
But the difference is you don't, as a union, go out and put that shit on Twitter and then have a whole ass publication run it, which then has a bunch of other affiliates run it to make these Trumpers even more pissed off and think that there's a war against cops.
Yeah. Oh, gee, I mean, that was the one too. But you see that the lady cop that took too long to get her food, and she thought it was
being poisoned.
Yeah.
It's like, please stop eating out.
I'm so afraid. Oh my God.
Your food is already poisoned. You're eating out. You're eating McDonald's. I'm sorry. No shame, McDonald's. I love you, but FDA has actually, I don't love you. I enjoy the fries sometimes, but I'm at that age now where literally nothing I eat at McDonald's feels good anymore.
McDonald's is where the Venn diagram of poison and food connects. It's the middle, the intersection point.
And we just mean that from our perspective. Brand and I went from eating McDonald's to a steep decline, because we were just we both looked at each other and we were like, McDonald's makes us feel like shit, huh?
Do you even like this food? I know we're here right now. Do you really? Do we really ever need to eat this again?
I could just buy my own Thousand Island dressing, really.
It's a secret ingredient.
We don't need to go through all this. Like, we don't need to put our bodies through this anymore. And it was such a sign that we're growing up, and I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, we are definitely. I'm definitely growing. You were already pretty much mostly grown up, but we're like a month apart, and I'm like
I had my issues,
10
man.
years behind.
Like,
Nikki
still eating
somehow.
at fucking McDonald's. So, listen. We didn't want to spend a shit ton of time talking about what defund the police is and all that stuff. Go look it up yourselves.
Yeah,
Like,
come on, guys.
don't be lazy.
I mean, our
Read a
listeners
fucking
are
book.
awesome, so they
Like,
know. They know.
Read a book. Understand that you're not the first person. Like, there's already been years and years and years of people much smarter than you doing work towards being our society becoming anti-carceral and getting rid of police and only having police for the very necessary things that we need, which, remember, y'all, for those who watched Mindhunters, like, we pretty much figured out serial killers with like 2 like FBI agents and a fucking PhD. So we don't need like millions and millions and millions and millions of cops for the currently like 30 active serial killers that we can't seem to catch anyway. So as you can see, it really doesn't take that fucking much. Like, we don't need millions and millions of cops and for it to take up literally, you know, like pretty much most of our fucking city budgets in order to get the kind of results that we're getting. Like, we can do better. And I think we can look at this better. But to us, you know, Brent and I were talking about it, and it's like, here are the things that, you know, we expect, here are the things that we deserve, and here are the things that we think we shouldn't leave the table until we get them. First, it's an end to police brutality, period. Like, that is non-negotiable. Like, there's no reason that an agent of the state should be able to put their hands on you in any sort of way like that. That has to come to an end.
No.
The second that our government officials show a respect for body autonomy, it will become normalized. Like, that's important.
Yeah.
Like, understand that seeing someone who has no relation to you be able to put their hands on you and get away with it, it normalizes that behavior across our society, and that's a fucking problem. Like, that has to end.
Yeah.
Next, we need to fucking just completely end police sexual abuse, because after police brutality, police sexual abuse is that next issue that is just has the most complaints, and we have to end. And of course, that's also an issue.
Well, most lawsuits. That's the second most
lawsuits.
Yeah.
There you go. And actual like complaints against the departments as well.
Yeah. Again, we're paying for their sexual assault violations. So just keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, that's another subject, another interesting way in which Black bodies are on the line, because guess who is most likely to be the complainant? A Black or brown woman.
Yeah, significantly
And then
higher.
ask yourself, why do they seem to have so much access to Black and brown women? It might not be related to the way that we allow them to police Black and brown neighborhoods and pretty much divorce all power from Black and brown people. I don't know.
Right?
Maybe that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be that. So complete into that shit.
And they just assume that they can't ever do anything about it or take any kind of recourse, because 90% of the time they fucking can't. You know?
And you know why? Because they have fucking unions bullying whole towns to basically allow them to do whatever the fuck they want to do. So that's another thing that has to come. That's another thing that we deserve. An end of this fucking union bullying. And the police union specifically, obviously, because they're the only ones that have this kind of fucking power. It's just very interesting that there's only one union conservatives seem to support. Like,
yeah, I know conservatives hate unions, and it's funny because like we love unions, but you know what? Most unions aren't fighting to protect the people that are murderers. Okay?
That's not funny, but it's fucking true. So, and the cover up is the huge, like, being able to require whole ass cities to just purge records. Just purge them. Like, they never fucking happened.
Wow.
Huge problem. Like, what the
okay.
fuck? And then that same person being able to leave that fucking county where they're raising hell and just go to another county to raise hell. That is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and there's
multiple times in some
people
cases.
who work at like fucking Wawa can't even get away with that shit.
Fuck
like
no.
People who, like, seriously, no one can get away with that kind of behavior in any other industry. Why is this fucking okay? Which brings us to the low professional standards. Stop treating fucking citizens like they're criminals already and show us the fucking respect that we deserve because we fucking pay you and we live here.
And it's innocent until proven guilty.
Hello. It should not be anyone's job to basically denigrate a whole human in their soul. Like, none of that is fucking necessary to get your job done.
Isn't getting locked up like enough? Like,
correct.
Why the fuck? Like, why do you got to be the fucking asshole too? Like, what the hell?
Correct. Which is why we need to have a conversation about what it means to be a criminal, because all of the shit that goes along with it pretty much ain't right. Like, listen, we're always going to have those people in our society that are going to need to be locked up and put away. But listen, folks, child molesters, the vast majority of them are not found because they were randomly patrolling and found a fucking child molester. That's not, like, having a shit ton of cops is not the way we're gonna solve that. Vast majority of murders are usually committed by a very small population of people. Even you folks who care so much about Chicago and all the shooting in Chicago, most of it's done by a very small group of people. You know how? You know? Because Oakland had the same fucking problem, did the same fucking thing, and figured out if we can just get these few people to, like, get jobs, we can stop our fucking shootings. And they did. They had a reduction in harm because they're actually trying to solve the problem instead of what we see so many Republicans doing, and really just people in general. This is really not a Republican Democrat thing. It's really both sides. It's all sides.
Yeah, on this issue.
It's about punishment. You do one thing bad, even if you knowingly knew it was bad. You paid the debt that we decided as society was commiserate with the crime. And then we say, okay, well, you made that mistake, so now go back into society and continue to... we're going to continue to discriminate against you in every single way possible. Like that, it's, you got to have it one way or the other. Like, either you're going to like have the, like, what is the point then? Like, if the goal is just to make this person feel like a second class citizen amongst the society, thus making them have less buy-in, thus making it more easy for them to fall into criminality and stay in criminality, then what the fuck was this whole point then? What did we do all of this for?
Right. Yeah.
And then when we have systems that are doing so much better at this, that we can see what they're doing better and we can change, and we still say no, we got to start asking ourselves questions about what does this mean, especially when it's mostly Black and brown bodies who are paying these prices.
Right.
So the low professional standards go along with that. We need to bring those high, because if they think all they're dealing with was criminals, if they keep treating people like they're criminals or would be criminals, we're all going to be in a very shitty place. We're not fucking criminals. We're citizens. We're members of a society and a community. And the last thing is the end of the fucking nickel and diming of fucking Black wealth, like community wealth, all of that gone. No more of this, like, these like fees that build upon fees that then get late fees, and the next thing you know, you have like no right to even have a license. Like, what, again, like, all of these things matter. Like, all of them matter. Civil forfeiture. How many families have lost whole generations of wealth due to civil forfeiture for shit that they had no idea was going on, had nothing to fucking do with them? All they did was give their son a room.
Yeah.
Or give their nephew a room.
And now all their
like,
stuff is being
like
charged.
Their house is basically gone. You know, so this whole, or an amount that they were saving for themselves, gone.
Because it's the stuff.
It has to be
it's
related.
It's the stuff that gets charged, which is so weird. What a fucking weird thing.
Yeah.
That all your belongings are being held like as if they did something wrong.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, your job.
It's such a fucking loophole.
It's your
bullshit.
job to prove that none of it was gotten with ill-gotten gains, which is almost impossible to prove.
Right. It totally reverses the burden of proof.
Correct.
Which is crazy.
So all that shit just needs to go. And if your local and state police department isn't even having a conversation about getting that shit done, then wasn't worth it.
Nope.
Wasn't worth it.
Nope.
So let's celebrate some wins. So
She's got on the notes, cops canceled.
Cops canceled.
Bam. Done. Over.
Boom.
I love it.
Cops have been canceled. And I think I love it, because I don't know a motherfucker who likes cops except for like
Cops.
a family member who's a cop. Like, literally and truly. Of course, I don't know everything. Obviously, they had some kind of audience, but
it was a terrible show.
It really was.
And I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but I remember when I used to watch it, there was this point where the camera would cut out, like just before they would catch the guy, and then it would blip to them already having him, and the dude's like all fucking swollen and shit.
Exactly.
like, no, you can't film this. No, fuck you, camera dude. Turn that shit off.
Never trusted that shit. No. So yeah, definitely that's a win. I think seeing the fact that Minneapolis said, fuck all this, and we're going to take our city in our own hands, and this is going to be democratic, meaning y'all just finna do this shit because we said so, because we're the citizens and we're out here. And so you gonna need to do something.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like, and what, defund the police looks like for them,
right?
And where they end up, because I think we're going to learn a lot regardless. And I trust it. Honestly, I do. I trust it way more than that fucking awful police union. Like, hearing, I don't know if y'all heard, like, him talking about how, there's so much money for us because they gave the trans outreach director 15 grand. There's more money for us. And I'm just like,
was that the...
Sir? That was the head of their union, the Minneapolis union.
Was it the Henry Winkler?
No, that was New York.
Bing, bada boom guy.
That's New York City, head of their union, yeah. I was just like, dude, $15,000 is such a paltry fucking amount of money.
Compared to...
Like, it's stupid. Just the small... Like, it is... I don't even... Whoever that director is, big ups to you with whatever you have planned on doing with that money and how you're going to make that stretch. Because that is not a lot of money to do a whole year's worth of activities around a community that is vulnerable.
And that one's so fucking obvious. It's again just like needling at conservative Christians insecurities, and they don't even see the number. They don't see, you're like 15,000. Anything over zero going to anything trans, that helps trans people. Christians and conservatives are like, oh, fuck this shit. I can't fucking believe this. $15,000. Oh, fuck this shit. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
The way they
let's take a moment to say congratulations to the trans community this week for that huge win by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
But we hear you. We know. Still got fighting to go. We're in it. We hear you.
Yeah.
We're ready to go. We're ready to go. But congratulations. Take a moment. Breathe. You still got time to go. Trust me. We still got time. We got shit to do.
Got a lot of ways to go.
Gather yourself, but take a moment though. Have a Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Toast it up. Then suit up.
That's right. Yeah.
So, what else? What else are we winning? Black Lives Matter, the organization, and plus the belief is surging in popularity right now.
It is.
Who knew? And
isn't it double what it's been?
Yeah, just the support skyrocketed.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Almost overnight.
That's awesome.
So
thank goodness.
Whew, it's amazing culturally how much culture can move from people fucking up some shit. It's amazing to me. And it's what's crazy about it is afterwards you realize there's literally almost nothing in this country that's ever happened without violence. Nothing.
No, yeah.
You won't let us.
In any country almost.
And that too. Because none of them learn the lessons from each other. Just let people tell you, if you get this many fucking people in the streets, it's time to hold a fucking quorum, man.
Yeah.
It's time to listen. It is not time to get obstinate and say no. It is time to open up some ears and eyes.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot for people to leave their lives in a pandemic and get together and say, we finna do this shit together. Especially the overwhelming amount of white people who showed up and literally used their bodies as shields. I saw it and it fucking worked. And it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's been beautiful. We're not gonna go into that. Keep moving forward. Yeah. And I think go ahead.
But that is something that we, me as a white person and other white people, that's something we do need to do, is get in between the right, like they said, using white privilege as a shield to block, standing basically in between the police officer about to beat the fuck out of somebody and the black protester, and we go out there and use ourselves as a shield between them. That's what we need to do in every regard. You see somebody bullying somebody online, jump into that shit. Start telling them why exactly they can't be doing this type of shit. Stand up for people. Speak out. It's our problem. We need to help solve it.
Correct. And stop asking everybody for free labor. Do the fucking work. You can.
And
it's possible.
And
like
your best to platform people too.
Absolutely. Like that is a
people
big part of allyship as well. Like,
but use privilege to get things done.
Correct.
Get people to listen.
Another win I think we can count is it seems like we're finally over the line with like the Confederate monument argument.
Yeah.
And understanding that like this is why we can't keep this shit going because all of this is keeping us back. I wanted to, I read this really interesting, oh my God, it was this beautiful piece in the New York Times by Caroline Randall Williams. She's a chef, she's an author. She writes, lots of books about soul food and stuff like that. And she's very fair-skinned Black woman. And she wrote an opinion, and I wanted to read a couple of excerpts. The opinion is called, "You Want a Confederate Monument? My body is a Confederate monument." And she opens up, and this is like the most amazing first sentence in a fucking essay. She wrote, "I have rape-colored skin."
Damn.
Right?
Wow.
Like, I have rape-colored skin. And, when we talk about this, the issues of the Confederate statues, so much of it is about, talking to these white folks that are like, this is my heritage. I want to keep my heritage. Right. As if Black people have no connection to this heritage. Like, even it, like, you see my family, like my family alone, you go to an event at my family and we are all different colors. Like, literally all of us. We have blood relatives that are like super light skinned to brown skinned to me, I'm more darker skinned, and family members that are darker. Like, it is a range in most African American families because, especially in the South, because of this kind of legacy. And I wanted to read a little bit more of what she said because it was so fucking powerful. And I know, a lot of people there, New York Times, that 1 or 2 articles that you get free is up. I get it. Yeah. I know that world.
Not doing it. I'm not doing it. You can fuck your $15 for a year. I'm not doing it. Or whatever
it's
it is.
Really not that much, but
I know it's really not, but
certain publications. Okay. So you cannot dismiss me as someone who doesn't understand. You cannot say it wasn't my family members who fought and died. My Blackness does not put me on the other side of anything. It puts me squarely at the heart of the debate. I don't just come from the South. I come from Confederates. I've got rebel gray blue blood coursing my veins. So I am not an outsider who makes these demands. I am a great-great-granddaughter. Wow. Jeez. Wow. And I think that's really, it's so interesting because it's like, these are the kind of stories and these are the kind of angles that you wish more journalists would like just go out and get, because they keep, everything is about heritage and not hate. So it's like, but it's like, this is so like the history in the South and what's there is so deep.
Yeah.
And the fact that they love to divorce us from the land in which our own ancestors worked and died for is just like, you have no say in this because you're Black.
Right.
You get, like, because your ancestors were enslaved, you don't get to have an opinion on the statues. And it's like, wait, but I feel like my opinion should matter because my folks were enslaved, and also because my folks were enslaved doesn't mean we didn't have like blood relatives with these white folks.
Which is what exactly. It is what we fought the war over in the first fucking place, man. What are you doing?
It's just this whole it's this whole thing that's been happening for so long that somehow Black and white people and the formerly enslaved and white folks in this country are somehow so different, so far apart. They have nothing, they can't see eye to eye, and we understand, but it's just one side of each story and we can't pick a side. And it's like, no, actually we can. And honestly, a lot of the people who got hurt by it the most probably gets to decide, especially when we consider where the fuck why these statues are even here in the fucking first place.
Right. And I just want to add this real quick.
Go ahead.
Is, you know, a lot of times, a lot of conservatives and shit, like, what they'll do is they'll act like it's the same, they have the same experience on the opposite side of the coin. Right, and it reminds me of this video that me and Nikki we were cracking the fuck up. And this video we watched, it was the Surf Times, and he covered Crowder coming up to this guy that was painting a mural on the side of like they acted like he was painting it on the side of a business. It was a boarded up thing, and he was just painting on the board where it was boarded up. But
the point is, that black man was minding his own fucking business.
Yeah, and he went up trying to like do the double side, like, oh, but now, you know,
you're being racist against me, sir.
Yeah.
You're being racist against me, sir. You can't say that about white people, sir. Sir, you're just being racist against me.
And I think Crowder thought he was schooling the dude, but while he was obviously getting schooled like crazy by this guy that he totally had previously assumed was going to be a fucking idiot that wouldn't know anything about what he's talking about.
And he was straight serving, okay?
Oh, man,
like, and by the end of the clip, what's so amazing is you can see Crowder is literally seething at the fact that this man has served a word and he can do nothing now but Karen, which is what he does by threatening to call the police. Yeah. I swear to God.
We gotta call the police, guys. Cause
it was
a guy out
here. If you
here.
haven't seen it, go see it. It's the most beautiful thing in the world.
And watch it through the Surf Times, because he plays the whole thing. And don't give Crowder any clicks. Just give the Surf Times some clicks. That dude's pretty
we're
funny.
doing a lot to big up a channel we don't know shit about.
I really don't. I don't know much, but I was just saying, just don't watch the Crowder one. Okay, but that I don't know.
Don't give Crowder the clicks.
I don't know all of the Surf Times views, so careful with that. But
yeah, can't
one was
be
good.
Like,
he was spot on.
Explore YouTube at your own risk.
Sorry, yeah, we don't endorse him like officially or anything. Like that. Just this one video.
Watch the Surf Time is like so chill.
Right, I know, and I'm
we're just like,
but I'm so scared, man.
Like, y'all can't listen. YouTube is a scary place, okay? Because I swear to you, I was like, because that whole shit was blowing up about Joe Rogan and their whole comedy troupe and how there's like apparently a lot of like sexual abuse potentially, like underage girl stuff going on there. And yeah, it's like the whole like Chris D'Elia, the guy that the guy that plays the coach on Goldberg's, like God damn it, I love apparently like that was I watched a clip where he was doing a show with Whitney Cummings, and he was like, I don't know what they were talking about. He was like, I never did any like weird sexual assault stuffy to you, right? And she was like, well, there was that one time that you were really fucking drunk and I had to drive you somewhere and you got in my car and then I went to back up and then I turned around and your dick was out. And I was like, holy shit.
Whoa.
Like, right there on the podcast.
God damn it.
Just like,
he's like, oh yeah, that was me being funny, okay?
I was like, okay, so I guess Brian Callahan is like,
fuck, man.
I don't know what's going on. But yeah, that whole thing is imploding right now. And like the fucking Rogan stands are they're losing their shit. Like, because see, ever since Rogan got that $100 million deal with Spotify, like the spotlights have been coming down a little bit more because that's a lot of fucking money to give somebody. Right. And yeah, it's falling apart and it don't look good, but I'm sure it'll all be fine. It's always fine for rich white guys.
My comedians are dropping like flies. This is crazy.
Yeah, it's really hard to find a male comedian to stand these days. Right. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's really hard.
It's tough, dude. Man, I love that. That was the guy that did the mustache.
Yeah. Although you can stand Patton Oswalt. I think Patton Oswalt is pretty good.
I don't feel like
I think he's always seen women as like people.
Right.
So.
Right.
Which seems to be the biggest one. Like, do they view women as actual humans that like have a full range of emotions, including being able to understand laughter in both comedy and thus be funny?
Right. The other one that I feel like is pretty solid is Mark Maron. I feel like he's semi-solid. Like I don't really have too much to
I don't know,
about.
folks. Tell us what we need to know. What's going on in the underground? God, we've gone way off.
I'm
now.
sorry, y'all.
Anyway,
that was my bad.
The other final win that we've gotten from these protests out in the streets is finally, y'all, Mississippi is going to change their fucking flag and take the Confederate part out.
Nice.
They will now be taking submissions for new flag designs, which they will have the entire state vote on.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Unfortunately, though, in God we trust must remain.
Of course. Of course. All right. Jesus. Fuck. That was funny because, like, I was just on Utah Outcast and I have the Florida flag in the background. And they're like, what the fuck is that back there?
Oh, the Florida flag. Yeah.
I was like, it's okay. It's just got the bars. We protested, got the stars out taken off, but we still got the fucking bars.
A lot of Southern flags are definitely like racist adjacent. It's interesting, but so yeah, I think that's pretty much all we got to say about that. Is you know, we got some good wins and we're hopefully going to keep on pushing. You know, if you can't be out there, share what money you can have, like, or you can like just do you know, what you can to support the movement. And if all it is putting those people in your fucking timeline who keep using All Lives Matter and the thin blue line flag in their place, you're doing your job. Yeah. You're doing what you should be doing, okay?
Just try to explain it well and don't get super fucking angry. Just keep explaining the same thing. Okay?
just keep explaining it.
Just keep explaining. Get back to the point. And they're going to try to drag you away. Just keep getting back to the point. And yeah, that's the best you can do.
You'll get there. So next we got another headline. Brent, I think you're talking about this headline.
Oh yeah, the good old Rona.
the Rona.
Corona.
Yes. Coronavirus.
The Rona.
COVID-19. There we go.
AKA COVID-19.
COVID-19. So cases are surging.
I can read it.
Okay. I'm like, my bad. Go ahead, baby.
8,900 new cases on Friday. Yeah. Like, we had a fucking spike that was like nothing I've ever seen. It was huge. It was amazing. It was incredible. It was just way too much. It was just over the top.
And what do you want to believe? The two states that didn't take it very seriously, Florida and Texas, now have huge surging cases. Like,
how weird.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I'm so color me fucking surprised.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So I guess fucking congrats is in order, right?
Yeah, they did. What they wanted to have happened.
Yes. So
their misinformation worked.
Trump, Jared, you know, everyone else in that administration and all the Republican governors that enabled this bullshit. Thank you. It turns out you're stalling to make more money off of American people and their fear, as well as your complete disinformation campaign and focusing on shit that didn't matter, like whether it was a Wuhan virus or not. Fuck you. By the way, for that and all the racism that caused as well. But yeah, good job. It all worked and we're dying. We're dying. Texas in particular is running out of hospital beds. Yeah. Florida, we're doing somewhat better, but still.
And why is it that it's always between Florida and Texas? What is that? Why are we in like this weird fucking who's dumber competition with Texas?
I don't know, but I feel like it should be one of those things where it should be like an elimination thing where like we should do like a fitness test of all. That's what it is. Oh my God. Here we go. Every year we got to do a fitness test on all U.S. states, and it should have like a bunch of different metrics that we cover, and a lot of them have to be related to like race and income inequality and civil rights issues, definitely like issues related to LGBT concerns and like queer issues, all of these things, like undocumented votes, like all of these things are on the fitness test because you just have to be fit to be a state in our fucking union, and if you fall below, you're cut off for a year.
You don't get to what's that. See, Texas would probably want that. Weren't they trying to secede like 2 years ago?
You're right.
Fuck.
Someone would do that shit just on purpose so they can create their own fucking little oligarchy where they can just like take up all the. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Damn it.
But here's why we're better than Texas. Okay.
Barely.
First of all, Texas is scary, man. It's a scary place.
Yes.
They have 2 franchises of horror movies that were huge, that were just about people in Texas, and it was believable. And it was, you know why it was believable? Because it was in fucking Texas. And it was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was one. How many did they make of those? Yeah. And the second one is the murders of Texarkana, which is the town that dreaded sundown. True
you know what
stories.
You forgot too?
What?
Dean Coral. The candy shop guy that killed all those little boys.
Yeah, that's right.
So
see what I mean? It's a
Texas,
scary place.
Yeah, Texas has a lot fucking going on. I don't know that that's related to their COVID or not, but I see your point.
No, but it's just that it's understanding the landscape and why we're different.
Brent's like, let me paint a picture. You know, you went the long way around. You know what I would have said just to show that we're better than them?
What?
They fucking park their trucks. They're $50,000 2-ton trucks that should never be on the fucking road that they take to their like data processing job. They parked those motherfuckers on the beach.
Oh, that's just not right. Shouldn't do that.
On the beach.
You're not allowed to do that here.
That tells you everything you need to know about Texas. But yeah, as we were saying, congrats to Trump. I think one of the funny things is I found this
a bunch of us killed. Thanks.
Right?
Thanks.
I found this random story and I thought it was just so illustrative of where we are right now. So I think it was in the Baltimore Sun. Like the first one, I think it's one of the first, if not the first Black nursing home ever. They had 0 COVID deaths. Whoa. 0, which is like, if you know anything about how nursing homes are getting hit, that's incredible. It's like the main spot. And the reason why they had 0 COVID deaths is because the owner of the nursing home, who also happens to be Black, he listened to Trump's first press conference in which he was talking about, we're going to get the numbers down to 0 and all this other bullshit, basically acting like, don't worry about it. He did the exact opposite of that and immediately cut off all visitation and started having every worker wear a mask and suit up top to bottom. 0 deaths. And if that doesn't give you an idea of what the fuck is wrong with our country, that like the way in which a man saved lives at his job was to do the exact opposite of our fucking commander in chief. That's what just happened. Wow. So y'all, for all those that are like, no one listens to Trump, he's just on TV being, like, you're an idiot if you listen to Trump, or listen, his words have consequences. His words mean things. The fact that he's completely incapable of doing this job means things. Don't ever forget that. But in addition to Trump, our lovely leader-in-chief, Governor DeSantis, what has he been up to?
Well, I know he still doesn't believe masks work.
I know.
They don't work.
That's crazy.
They just don't. They're just...
Don't you love that? That's what our governor is telling people as recently as the same fucking day that our cases went up to 8,900. Right. Telling folks, I still just don't believe masks work. Who does that?
Is he comfortable going to the dentist? I don't get it. What the fuck, man? I'd never go to the dentist again if I didn't believe they was just like, so I'm like, this is just for formality. But really, I just breathe out all my germs right into your mouth while I'm working on it. Give me a fucking break. Correct. That's so stupid.
And also, all these people who are complaining about not being able to breathe, like, I get it. It's a very uncomfortable experience, and I know that there are some folks who just can't do it. But for the vast majority, like, these, like, masks are made... Like, surgeons literally stand for hours on their feet with knives, doing intricate things with things that break easily and cannot be repaired easily with whole ass masks on. So I just feel like maybe we can do it for the 20 minutes we're in Publix or the 10 minutes that we're in CVS. Oh my God, we were at CVS yesterday picking up medication because that's one thing that still has to happen. You got to get your fucking medications. Yep. And this woman is standing by the door, has on a fucking mask. It's below her mouth and nose because, and then coughs openly.
She pulled
right
it down
there
to cough.
Openly while we're standing there about to walk in. And so Britt and I are like, let's just take a moment. Let those droplets kind of, get where they're going to go. Like, right? It's just wild to me.
Coat all the surfaces before we walk through.
Oh my goodness. Jesus. Like, why wouldn't you cough in your fucking mask?
All right.
Anyway,
but back to the point about the like not being able to breathe. Are there a lot of surgeons that go through that are borrowing the patient's oxygen? You're like, hold on. I gotta take this off.
Stop for a second and get some oxygen. Oh my God.
I was breathing way too much carbon dioxide that's all stuck inside this piece of paper around my face. It's like breathing into a paper bag, you know. What the fuck is that? What?
That's what our governor is doing.
Wow.
That's what he's participating in. Also, let's see. He's saying that our state is purposely inflating our COVID numbers, and he has been called out because he's continually basing his response and the reopening on outdated fucking numbers. And the public health officials keep trying to tell him that. And it's like his administration is just like, I'm gonna do it this way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pathetic.
And then to top it all off, in addition to our fucking governor being awful and basically leading us all in the wrong directions, we have our citizenry showing their fucking ass. So let's see. You know, as you know, a lot of Florida municipalities have been having meetings on having to wear masks and all of those things. Britt and I are lucky. We live in solidly blue areas with mayors that don't give a fuck. So we have a mask order, and if you're not wearing a mask, you will get fined. So you have to wear a mask in every fucking building. So that's important.
But that's only because we have like county officials and mayors and shit that are willing to go, fuck you, man. We're gonna mandate masks. You can fuck yourself with your can't breathe shit.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Let's see here. So let's listen to one woman and what she thought was more important.
And I just, at the end, I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Things gotta breathe.
Mic drop. The nailed it guy comes out with the sign. Nailed it. So come on, like the fucking.
That's what our citizenry is being recorded in this whole year 2020. Like, don't you know your coworkers can see you? Who are these people? What jobs do they have?
Right.
I would be mortified. Who are you? What job is this? My God. So that's an example. I mean, I'm sure y'all have seen it because there's been other videos of people just getting up there and straight talking about Facebook conspiracy theories in these whole ass public city hearings. And then that's an example of the citizenry. Then we got Tom Brady. Yes, he's a fucking Floridian now. Yay. Woo. Outdoors doing private workouts with multiple other Buccaneers players. Meanwhile, the fucking NFL union is like, Tom, we out here trying to
survive.
Fucking make sure y'all don't have to play in the fall and fucking risk your lives dying for fucking football in these COVID times, and you out here doing private workouts for everyone to fucking see you, and you're not even fucking 6 feet apart. Which honestly, 6 feet apart only applies when you're breathing like a normal person. It does not apply when you're doing hard fucking workouts and like constantly breathing heavy around other people. Like, that is a whole nother ball of fucking wax.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly why I don't like to do workouts in public. It's because they end up looking like a snotty toddler, you know, by the end. Oh my God, it's too much.
And yeah, I continue to believe, fuck everyone. I'm going to do what I want to do. As long as I'm closed, I'm going to do this shit. I don't care. I don't care how much you see me sweating in public, goddammit. I live here. So anyway, Tom Brady, like, what are you fucking doing? Like, first of all these fucking Floridians probably look to you for fucking guidance. Stop being stupid. 2, you're arguably the player with the most fucking power in the union. So can you, like, I don't know, do something for solidarity's sake? Like, can you help out all these other fucking players who live in places where, including you, mind you, that live in places where COVID is out of control, and maybe it's probably not a good idea for us to do a bunch of, like, sports maybe? I don't know. Maybe we should wait a little while, see what else is going to pop off, because things don't look real great right now.
Come on, man.
Tom fucking Brady. I knew this was going to be a bad idea. It's shaping up to be a terrible idea.
We didn't want him.
No, everybody fucking wanted him.
No, I didn't want him.
Me either.
Me either.
I don't think we fucking matter.
That's what I was talking about. You and I.
We're 2 people.
I mean, Florida wanted him because Florida's fucking stupid. I mean, we get compared to Texas.
You know what? We have a shit ton of former New England fans down here too.
Oh.
Yeah, when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, also, this week, when we should be buckling up coronavirus and try to figuring out what the fuck we're going to do as a state, our governor as well decided to just, double private school vouchers when it's not even evident we're going to have school in the fall.
This is one of the most, honestly, this voucher system is one of the main things that gets my blood boiling like nothing else.
Can I tell you?
The fact that these private schools that are for profit are getting, students are able to get vouchers to go to these schools because their parents, it's a religious freedom kind of thing, I think. So that they're like, hey, but we can't afford to go to a religious school. Okay, well, we'll just get some tax dollars for you to be able to go learn how science is all stupid and gay people deserve to be murdered or whatever the fuck they teach. And they do teach that shit there. Most of those places are very bigoted. And we have
because
tax
religious schools are
it.
included in that, y'all. It's not just like charter schools and no. These are very much related to religious private schools, which in the end, this entire voucher program just is a taking money from the poor and the taxpayers for the wealthy. Because who do you think owns these fucking private schools? Who benefits from being on the boards of these private schools? Who benefit with these private schools being in their neighborhoods? Like, none of this shit is for people who actually need public education and who need like better instruction.
Right. And they're pulling the money out of the public education. You're making the public education worse so that we can make shit that's demonstrably bad education better. Which is fucking crazy to me. I don't know what's going on. I'm so fucking lost with this goddamn administration.
Yeah, the voucher program to me is just one of those situations where I will never understand why. Like, I get why parents want it, but I don't understand how they can't see that just because your child may have something they need, it can potentially ruin the experience of a bunch of other children because they now don't get what they need. Like, it is not a sustainable system for the state of Florida to pay a bunch of parents for their kids to go to private school while disinvesting from the schools that we actually pay for. Like, how does that work? And thus making them worse. And thus making more parents want to seek out the voucher program. Like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I don't get how Republicans can't see that. Like, it's not like you taking money from somewhere and putting it somewhere else. That's going to create an outcome that's not necessarily great for the thing you're taking money from.
No. You're taking money from the public school kids and giving it to private school kids that don't need any fucking help. They're fine.
No, we're propping up private schools that ordinarily would fail. That's part of the problem too, because these private schools want these vouchers. They're the main fucking lobbyists for it because it's propping up a system that listen, the days in which a family can afford a private school education for most of their children, if not all, has passed us. There is no living in a nice white neighborhood and affording private school for all their kids. So the only way potentially to keep these fucking private schools running in the rate in which they have been in the past is to get voucher money, because most parents can't pay for that anymore. Like, that's not a thing that you can do anymore because private school education just costs too much. And also, housing just costs too much. Like, it is...
Everything costs too much.
Everything costs too fucking much. But the point is, this is all moot. We don't know if we're going to have school on...
That's right.
We don't even know if schools are going to be open. It is July. School is supposed to start a month and a half from now, and our cases are surging.
And from what I understand, within the system, it's pandemonium. Nobody knows what's going on.
So
nobody knows what's going on.
In which case, why the fuck are we doubling vouchers when we need to figure out? Maybe you should be focusing a little bit more on like how we're going to educate all these fucking children and find a way to like do it without parents, because what the fuck? Like, how are we going to do that? I don't like what vouchers?
Makes no sense.
Really? So yeah, all that is happening, and I just feel like I just don't know. I don't know where we're headed. I just really don't. But yeah, that's what we're dealing with here in Florida at the moment. So hopefully we're hoping all of y'all are in states that are so much safer
Yeah,
than we
please.
are.
I really hope that. Yes.
Like that you have some governors doing common sense things, but I see even California is surging now because people have gone back to having huge as house parties. Like apparently in Texas, they had a huge surprise party and a whole like solid 18 people came up positive for COVID.
Damn.
Like think about that replication like into the community. That's 18 different jobs.
Right.
18 potentially different grocery stores.
Yeah.
18 18 different bars after work. 18 different bowling alleys if those are open. 18 different barbershops or salons like that or nail shops like that's.
And that's 18 in one spot.
Ton.
And so if each one of those infected 10 people by accident, that's 180, right?
Yes, babe.
So I'm saying, like that, it can go like exponential
right?
really quick. Like,
It's a lot. It's a lot. We have a fun headline this time.
Yeah, this
We're
will be
doing
sort of
something a little different.
yeah, this will be sort of like the kind of stuff that we're going to be covering in the future. Just as a
Some of it, yes.
Yeah.
So, fun headline. Korea will have a new brand, a new flavor of Czech cereal.
Nice, huh?
And the flavor will be green onion.
Wow.
Which sounds actually delicious. If you think about it, like don't think about putting milk on it though, but just like eating it out of the box.
I was gonna say, like that does not.
That sounds
onion
fucking
milk
delicious. So it's actually a wild story. 16 years ago, Kellogg wanted to like expand their footprint in Korea. And they did a survey and they asked everybody like what, they asked Koreans like what flavor would you, want to see in your cereal. So I guess they probably thought they were going to get something like green tea or something
That's
like
what
sweet.
I would assumed.
But yeah, like, you know what I mean? Because you can literally, in Korea, you can get green tea, everything. Green tea, cake.
Kit Kats.
Yeah, Kit Kats, green
Kats.
tea, cake. I lived there for a couple years, and one birthday, a friend got a fucking green tea cake from Baskin Robbins. It is not good.
No,
it does not taste good. Like, green tea doesn't taste good. I'm sorry.
I don't know why
you can't just put sugar in it and then think it tastes good. It still shouldn't be an ice cream.
It tastes like an Arizona tea fucking, like
no, I would have liked that.
So
that would be like green tea in it's not even that good. No. Like that Arizona with honey, I know what you're talking about, and like ginseng, that actually is good because that has a shit ton of honey in it. But this like the way this is not really usually with honey, so it's a whole thing. But anyway, so Kellogg's was like, let us know what you want, and overwhelmingly green onion won in the surveys. Like they're like, we want green onion cereal. So of course Kellogg was like, oh, you crazy Asians, and basically ignored them and gave them a chocolate cereal instead, and obviously it didn't do very well. And Kellogg has announced that they will do now 16 years later a limited run of the green onion cereal, and Koreans are rejoicing as they feel like it's a great model of democracy winning.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, the gag is the whole time Kellogg was not making this money was because they were trying to sell Korea a fucking breakfast cereal to eat with milk, and Korea was trying to tell them, bruh, give us a snack food because we're not about to change our breakfast for cereal because that shit is not filling. We're gonna stick to our normal breakfast because that shit, like, we need shit that sticks to our ribs, man. That cereal business ain't gonna do it. It ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, they were like, keep the cereal and give us a mix. You already make them.
Exactly.
With
You
the
already
pretzels and
make
all that
Chex Mix.
shit. Just make one of those, but
put
for
green
us.
onion in it, which will taste amazing. Like if
that
you
might actually be good. I could see that.
A green onion in a Chex Mix would taste awesome.
Right.
Like, and also like if they did like a whole cracker, that would be delicious. Could you imagine like a green onion cracker?
Yeah.
And then some like cream cheese, like maybe a chive and onion cream cheese. And then like a slice of samgyeopsal, like pork belly. That would be delicious.
That would be the
That's
thing,
an appetizer.
Yeah, okay.
That's worth eating.
Yeah,
Just
I can
saying,
see that.
Kellogg's.
That sounds pretty good.
If you want to sell something, I mean, really sell it. So I thought that was so much fun, and I thought that was great that like Koreans didn't abandon their like normal breakfast, because it is awesome. It's like soup and rice and egg and like a little bit of fish and maybe some pork. It's totally like hearty breakfast.
Yeah, and that's kind of a funny thing actually about America. It's cereal is actually one of the few foods, and I'm saying few, like I mean very few, that are uniquely American. Usually all the
Funny
food...
that it's empty.
all the food that we usually have is fucking, you know, hamburgers. Like we think like, oh, hamburgers and stuff, and apple pie. Nope. Hamburgers are French. And you know, and apple pies from someplace else. Okay, we took everything. Like nothing is original except for breakfast cereal. That's one of the things we got.
And then when you get into the history of why that became what it is, it's so uniquely American and awful. So there's a really actually great drunk history episode about the Kellogg brothers. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely go see it. It's hilarious. I feel like Bill Hader is in it too, which really makes it good. So what was that Bill Hader in the Coke one? I don't remember, but there's an excellent drunk history episode about the Kellogg brothers. So we are going to now just go straight to We Be Nerdin, because we've been through a lot of like really heavy shit. So we're just gonna go straight to nerd shit.
That's right. Time to lighten up.
Lighten it up. We be nerdin'. I love that song so much. And oh my gosh, fuck Bill Maher right to his face. Like, if y'all, oh my god, this season of Bill Maher, if you want to, like, if you believe in Schadenfreude, I think that's how you say it, that like German concept of like your enemy's pain gives you pleasure. Watch this season of fucking Real Time with Bill Maher. God, because first of all, you see how tiny he is and how insecure he must be, because he can't get through an entire show without fake laughter. It is
that is disgusting. Really obnoxious.
And then two,
and it's the same joke that's been going on for the whole season. And I'm like, dude, you're beating a dead fucking horse at this point, man.
This is weird. This makes you look weird.
Yeah. Really
and
weird.
then because it's like you'd rather just do this than just change the format of the show. Like that's how much you don't believe in your own ability to be funny. But anyway, also, like, he has spent almost this entire time since COVID came out basically being like, why is everyone reacting this way? I've been saying for years that Americans are so unhealthy. I don't know that you can mandate masks, all this other shit. And now this week he's like, I've been saying this whole time, you know.
Why are you guys taking this seriously?
This surge was coming.
Our immune systems don't work. I know I didn't talk about that, but shh. You're weird.
You're fucking kidding me. Are you kidding me that he's sitting here on this goddamn show being paid to act like he hasn't been acting like Democrats have been overstepping on COVID this entire fucking time? Are you kidding me, Bill Maher?
Right?
Are you kidding me? He full on did that, y'all.
He's like, I gotta.
He full on did that. And
pander to my right leaning audience, you know?
Yes, and he had fucking Bolton on his show to fucking shill for his book that no one should purchase. He interviewed that motherfucker. Like, this is the kind of, like, he's just so, I swear to God, he just skims the news. I swear to you.
Yeah.
He just skims it and is like, this is my angle, I'm going with it.
Yeah.
Like, the left is out of control, I'm going with it. So our first story that we want to talk about, that was just a rant. That was a side
that wasn't really a story.
Bill Maher rant. That is
just
not
Bill
on any
Maher.
cards.
The rest of the political stuff's done. We're done.
It's done now.
Now we're gonna chill out. Okay. Get a glass of wine.
For the most part. Also, big ups to Some More News and Cody Johnson and his entire crew for completely proving my case on John Krasinski this week. I've known since the Office days that something just wasn't right with fucking John Krasinski, and he was going to sell out, and we were all going to be able to witness it, and we all just did. And we found out how much garbage he is, and I appreciate you for just like busting that wide open. Thank you.
Okay, good. And I gotta say, I feel I feel a lot better about everything. Okay, because I thought you had a completely irrational hate for John Krasinski.
No,
dude. Like I was like, this is getting problematic. Okay,
no. Ever since I watched that awful fucking movie that he directed, what was it called? Like something about men yelling at something. I don't know. It was like this really misogynistic take on a lot of shit, and I was like, something is not right about this guy. And then I watched The Office and I realized actually Jim is an asshole. It's really hard to rewatch The Office and not see how much Jim is an asshole. Like, I'm sorry, if you can't see that
really
shit,
fucked up shit,
like
oh man, what?
Jim is a fucking asshole. And it's not just his interactions with Dwight. I mean, really his bullying
too.
of Dwight.
Yeah.
But it's like his interaction with so many other cast members. We won't even get started on Karen fucking Filippelli. Like, look at us. We're doing it again. Anyway.
Back to what we were
First
supposed
headline.
to be talking about.
It's actually a sad one. We're in We Be Nerdin, but it's actually a sad one. Joel Schumacher has died. He has left us. He was 80 years old, and I just want to take a moment real quick and talk about Joel Schumacher, because I know that people like to razz on him because of Batman Forever. I get it.
And well, Batman and Robin more, but yeah.
Yeah, that one was,
those two.
But I really got to say, at first I got to say to Joel Schumacher, thank you. You created, you directed a little movie. It's called The Lost Boys. And I know for a lot of people, it's like, oh, it's 80s camp. It's so much fun. Like, it's just such a great movie. It is all those things. But what I really want to thank Joel Schumacher for is whoever he greenlit to do the music for that fucking movie. Because Joel Schumacher took this little black girl living in a house where I would have never heard this and played People Are Strange. Now, it was a cover of People Are Strange by
that's right.
Some band that I don't even know. But they did a pretty good job, and it made me interested in that song. And then that's when I discovered The Doors. And that's when my entire world of music completely exploded. And I just got to experience everything awesome about 60s rock and 70s rock and 80s rock and 90s rock and just so many awesome things. So I just like hearing that song at the beginning of Lost Boys was just so instrumental to me. He also gave us the big, oiled up guy doing the saxophone number. Oh, I still believe. That was probably annoying. I'm sorry. But that was really important. Another song that was really, really important to me, it's literally still in my mixes to this day. It's just so beautiful. You don't know this song yet?
She's like,
who are you?
Dancing out over here, dude. She's like getting down.
Who are you? How do you not know this song? It's
I
so
love
important
this song.
to us.
Yeah.
It's so important. I'm just gonna get that first breakdown. Here it comes. Here it comes. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It's good.
I mean, where do you get that kind of artistry in movies these days now?
Right.
Like, you
don't
just
have the good music anymore.
don't get it like that anymore. Like, that song, I heard that song and I was just like, I love everything about the way that song makes me feel, and I've got to find every other song that makes me feel exactly that way when I hear it.
Right.
It turned out to be a lot of really cool synthesizer rock. And I love it.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, Joel Schumacher, like, you gave us so much. We appreciate it. I don't know if you were an asshole in your real life, but I heard you were like pretty campy, sassy, and cool. So for that, I stand, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
That's sweet.
I know, it's like,
yeah.
He was the gate. Like, he was the gate that opened, because
awesome.
I swear I was so young when I watched that movie, and I just remember hearing that cover of the Doors song and just saying, I gotta have that song. And this moment, I was Columbia Records. The second I was able to like get my own CDs, one of the very first CDs I got was like the two-sided, like, I mean, the double CD of the Doors' greatest hits, and it like changed everything.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, he was from like around here. Yeah, Jacksonville, right?
Yeah. He went to like FSU and all that.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yes. And like, we even have, he came here to St. Pete, and I think he started a riot or something.
Yeah, he was here too. It was like it's cool too, because if you watch the movie,
we're talking about Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison,
the lead singer of the Doors.
But if you watch the movie The Doors, like, you could see when he's at the beach and stuff. That's like the times when he's like down here.
Yeah.
So
we
just really cool.
We wanted to take that moment. We also rewatched Batman Forever as a toast. It was good. And it was a good time.
It was better than I remember it,
Listen,
honestly. Like, and I've seen it quite a few times. Like, I
enjoyed it. I thought Val Kilmer was great.
I was surprised at how many lines like I remembered. Like, I was watching it, and I swear I haven't seen it in forever, but I remembered so many fucking lines.
I'm sorry, y'all. I have to keep my phone on for a reason. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Sorry.
But yeah, what were you just talking about? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying I remembered so many lines from it. I was like, damn, like these lines just like stick in your head, you know? Maybe it's like the overacting with Jim Carrey and shit too. And Tommy Lee Jones is like my favorite actor. Like,
role was perfect for Jim Carrey. That was a perfect role for him. It was funny to me because as I was watching it, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen Tommy Lee Jones move this quickly at this age ever in any other movie.
He's like flinging his face all around.
He is just like hopping around like a little rabbit. And I'm like, wow, he's really getting into the like physical characteristic of this character. Like, he is having a ball, it seems. And then of course the like Seal song came at the end, which, oh, what a time to be alive. Why don't we have movie music anymore? I think what was the last good movie soundtrack? Like, the last one I can think of is Garden State. That's the last one I can think of that went like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have more modern ones that I really like, but it's not the same.
No, where it has like a bunch of popular music on it. I guess Suicide Squad's album did have a lot of popular music on it.
Yeah, you're right. They did do that. I mean, it still does happen, you know.
It's just rare.
Right, yeah.
But that Kiss from a Rose, what a treasure.
That was so good. I remember when I first watched that movie, we were all, excited to go see it and stuff. Really, because that was like one of the first Batman movies I could actually watch, because my parents didn't like me watching 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. But I had watched the other cheesy one. But I really liked the cartoon, and the cartoon was based off of the first 2 movies, right? Mm-hmm. But the funny thing was, it was like the 2 bad guys that were in it, and you were expecting them to be similar to the characters from the the characters from the previous 2 movies. Mm-hmm. And the cartoon based on it, those 2 characters, Two-Face and Riddler, were like the 2 most solemn characters there were on that show. Like, they were both just like really chill and quiet.
Really?
And yeah, Two-Face was just like a gangster.
Well, that makes sense, because the way that it's portrayed, the Aaron Eckhart and the way that he does it later on, he wasn't very like, ha-da! You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like he became another Joker.
Right.
Like
and they were all kind of like Joker. One. And that's not really how the character, so I remember going to see it and being like, what the fuck is happening? Why are they all like acting all crazy? Why did they get Jim Carrey? Why is, but now that I'm looking back, I really do enjoy the movie. But yeah, I remember that really bothered me when I saw it, because I wanted them to be like the cartoon characters, and they were just, because Two-Face is badass. Yeah. He was just like,
well, and at that time, comic book movies had to be for children. There was no adult audience, or at least studios
they had 1
thought.
and 2 that were more for adults.
Not really. It still was campy. You still had
It was campy, but it was dark and like creepy and like
it still was like bright and had like neon colors, and they had
that was the third one, man. It was all
What are you
dark
talking
colors
about?
in the first one.
Are you talking about
First
the very
two.
first Batman, in which Jack Nicholson is in a purple suit and has a play gun that comes out in purple and says bang, in which his whole
but he
army
didn't
came
have-
in like
didn't have all
crazy
the neon-
colors, dancing to Prince's song in a middle of a ballroom?
But it wasn't the whole theme. I mean, I don't know, man.
I will give you, it was
even
darker.
the fucking Batmobile was glowing blue. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on?
Okay, I will give you, it was
It
somewhat
got
darker
way
and
more
lighting.
neon-y. And that weird mirror.
Oh my god, the penguin! Like, he was so camp. What are you talking
Well, he
about?
had it was like red though. They had just used the color red a lot.
Okay, are
'cause
you
it was
talking about the
triangle
actual
game.
colors? Or are you talking about the mood?
The mood, like all of it. Like it was so much darker. And
I
it
just
wasn't
don't-
it was campy, but it was dark. It was perfect. Both those movies were fucking perfect. Okay? But then that third one was just like, whoa, we dropped the whole thing into a can of neon. Like, I don't know how this happened. Where are we at now? Which universe is
I'm
this?
sorry. I feel like Tim Burton laid the... Okay, like,
Sidestep
yeah, Joel
into a
Schumacher and,
dimension.
like, those producers may have, like, ran with it, but I feel like Tim Burton definitely laid the groundwork there.
Right. No, it was
It
awesome,
wasn't,
though. It
like,
was still-
completely... You know what I mean?
But then it just got even crazier with Batman and Robin.
Yeah, Batman and Robin was a lot.
That was just...
That's definitely
whoa.
one I don't
He
choose
came back
to watch
and
again.
Joel Schumacher, at least, this is one thing I really like about him, too. He actually apologized for those movies.
Oh, wow.
He was like, I'm really sorry to the fans. I just really like the old show. The campy show, you know?
Yeah.
And so he said, but, you know, they're still fun. They're still fun fucking movies.
Yeah,
And
they're
I don't
definitely
care.
fun to just like turn on and have on. So we did watch The Five Bloods on Netflix, and I have really zero complaints. You should just go fucking watch it. It was really fucking good.
It was.
The music was good. The story had me guessing because I had no idea like what the resolution was gonna be. It's anxious as fuck, and it deserves to be. The characters are amazing.
Yeah, very
oh
good.
my god,
Very
like.
good. In depth.
Oh, it's some deep shit. Of course, the music is amazing
Yep.
because there's so much protest like music in it from the 70s and stuff. It is amazing in the 60s. And it's the dialogue. I had a really
it's
good time.
Unbelievably good.
Yeah.
With Spike Lee, I wasn't really familiar too much with his movies, but once I realized that it was he's the same director, and does he write them too?
Usually, yeah.
Really? Okay. And I think he might have done this one the same way. Was the son of Summer of Sam?
Oh yeah.
And I love that one because it was about the punk rocker guy and stuff. And so I
That's
thought
funny.
That was,
That's one I really am not familiar with. That's,
Really?
Of all the Spike
Oh,
Lee
man.
films, that's like the one I really am not familiar with.
Oh, I
but I know
loved
like
it.
I
Yeah.
know Do the Right Thing and School Days
See,
and
I don't know
like
those.
Jungle Fever and the earlier ones.
Wow. Okay. See, I don't know any of those. We just knew Summer of Sam because like when it came out, I remember me and my friends. You know, we were the little Christian punk rockers, and like, there's a punk rocker in a movie, dude. And he's like, no, it's like a big movie too, big ones, big deal.
Y'all were so starved for representation. Y'all, I
were,
cannot
dude.
tell you how many times I've seen SLC Punk because it is about punk people.
And it's the only movie
like
about punks. it's good.
I respect it. I feel you.
But it was very good. And then and it had similar music because it was in the like around that same time.
Yeah.
Like 70s, right? And so it was super cool. But that was great to see this one, and you can kind of see the similarities. But this one was a lot deeper, I thought.
Yeah,
the
'cause
characters were a lot better. It was a lot more in depth with the development between each of the characters interacting. It was really good.
And he
Really,
did
really
some like standard Spike Lee things that always like because he has some things that are his signatures that are just gorgeous. And yeah, I really enjoyed the movie, and now it makes sense because I didn't understand why like literally every black movie that took place in the 70s usually always had a character that was either in danger of or in like going to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And with this movie, it's sort of like brought home the fact that part of the reason is because almost no Black family wasn't affected by it, because Black soldiers were way overrepresented for who were drafted to go to Vietnam.
Oh, really? So they were drafted. Well, I mean, because they went through by like you being in college.
Yeah, like it was easier for you to get exemptions for things like college and whatnot. So yeah. And that's like, whoa, that's a huge fucking thing to think about, really. Yeah. And what that means, especially when we have folks talking about wars and monuments and flags as if nobody else has sacrificed for this fucking country. Right. But okay, we be nerdin'.
Not on that.
So The Five Bloods, it's on Netflix.
Super
if you haven't seen it, invest. It is longer, and it goes right really fast.
It takes place in our time too, so it's not,
yeah, like it jumps back and forth. Yeah. It's so cool, and because
it's great how they do it.
It does this really cool thing, because I think in a lot of these movies you have sort of newer, like you have like the older actors playing their parts, and then you would have younger actors come in and play their young selves in the military, but they actually had the older actors do their older, like themselves as younger and older. Yeah. And it was really effective, because all of these actors were amazing. Delroy Lindo is top notch, top tier acting, like fucking Delroy Lindo. He was like the MAGA.
Okay, yeah, it's the guy from Gone in 60 Seconds. Yes. Yeah, I love that dude. He is awesome. Sorry. Yes. I don't know.
But anyway, yeah. Delroy Lindo is fucking phenomenal. He was like, but so many of the characters were just amazing. The guy who played the son, who's actually going to be in Lovecraft Country, the show that's coming up soon on HBO. He was so good in it, and I cannot wait for Lovecraft Country, because he is so good as an actor. And like those physical things that they had him do, I was like, oh my god, the action in Lovecraft is gonna look so good, because he is very capable. So that was a really good movie, and it's interesting how we were able to see a new movie basically without a theater.
Right.
And now that the cases are surging again, I don't know that we'll see a new movie at all this year at all.
I was so mad because they said that Blues Brothers was supposed to be coming to theaters in town, and now we can't fucking...
They're going to have to reschedule it for the 41st anniversary. We'll just celebrate it at the... We'll celebrate the 40th. Is it the 41st?
I think it's the 40th.
41st?
It's in the 70s.
I don't know why I'm having trouble saying 40 right now.
The 40. Yes. I got it. Don't look at me. You're looking at me.
So, the 42nd, we'll just have to celebrate the 41st on the 42nd.
There you go, yeah. After we've got the vaccine.
Yeah. Well, I was looking forward to Tenet. I was looking forward to Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What?
Black Widow, that movie.
Oh, Black Widow. Okay, I thought it was like what?
I'm thinking of a movie here. Help me out here.
I was going to guess The Island. That wouldn't be right.
So I don't know if we're ever even going to get those movies, or if they're just going to wait it out, which I don't know what the economics of, AMC, which is basically most fucking theaters in the country, just waiting it out.
I wonder if they'll put it on Disney Plus as like a promotional thing, so everybody has to get it.
I mean, there's only so much money you can make back from Disney Plus subscriptions, though. Yeah. Like, I get putting Artemis Fowl on there, because only a certain amount of people were going to watch Artemis Fowl to begin with. But I don't know about putting Black Widow on there. That's just like,
that's huge,
if anything, I feel like they do video on demand first, or like you have to have the Disney Plus and rent Black Widow for like another $15 or something.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Put it behind a paywall on
Disney
Plus. So you still
but
gotta
look at
pay
us.
like
Why
$15.
are we doing the capitalist work? What are
Disney,
we doing?
If you're listening, all of Disney, listen.
Because like legit, I know
I wanted to do that. That's why I'm suggesting.
You're like, this is what I'm willing to do to see this fucking movie. I will pay for my subscription and give you an additional $15, which is so funny because movies on demand, like we have, Prime, whatever. If you go to Amazon, you can buy movies on demand, and they're like $20 to rent, and it's not even like that's so terrible. That is less than what we would. Well, no, that isn't less what we would pay for movies, because we made a point to only go during certain times.
Yeah.
But an ordinary ticket, like an ordinary Friday night or Saturday night, that's actually less than you would spend on an actual movie. But it's so interesting how much, like, in my mind, I feel like when I go to the movies, I'm paying for an experience.
Right.
And you just don't get that when you're watching it on Prime on Demand.
No,
you know what I mean?
you don't.
But of course, I want to stay safe, so whatever.
Yeah.
The theater should definitely continue to stay closed, regardless of my experience that I love having when I go to the movies.
Yeah.
But it's like it's only $20.
Right.
Just like pay for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And it's like you'd each have to pay that if you're going to a theater. You know what I mean? Like, you could have 4 people over and pay the $20 to watch a movie, and that's all 4 of you that don't have to buy a ticket.
Is that going to be the new thing now? No, because then that's going to spread COVID. Don't do that, folks. Don't save money on movies on demand by having house movie parties.
That's already together. It's what I'm saying.
I mean, but it's really weird to make, like, kids pay for a movie on demand.
That's why I'm saying they don't have to. Just the parent does, and then all the kids can watch.
I'm trolling you.
I'm so fucking confused right now. Like, where are you at? Jeez. You pulled one of mine.
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think we're just gonna break down and eventually spend money on a movie because, like, we have not been finding a ton of stuff to watch. Well,
we're kind of out. You know, we're just out.
Like, listen, I mean, COVID
for like 4 months.
Has given us a lot of time to catch up on some shit, but we're really not out. We're just lazy.
No, we just gotta branch out.
We did see a couple of things that are great comfort viewing for folks who just need something that is awesome. So one thing I want to say is, if you haven't seen already, PBS, if this is for uncomfort viewing, PBS actually released the vast majority of their Black and African American documentaries. So everything from, like, Reconstruction to current day to the 1692 and beyond, like, all of that shit is there. So if you have everybody has PBS. Go check out fucking those documentaries, but those are uncomfortable. And then if you're ready to have some comfort viewing,
they are uncomfortable. They're very well done.
So well done, and so good for your education and understanding, and a great way to start in understanding, like, because all of those shows have the historians and the scholarship that they use to base them on. So that's a great place to start for bibliographies on learning more about the system and this, like, the systemic portion of what systemic racism is. Right. Anyway, for some comfort viewing, there is something called
the opposite of that.
Yes. So we stumbled upon this movie called Sordid Wedding on Hulu, and come to find out, it's a whole fucking series, and it is hilarious.
Oh man, it was awesome.
Oh my god, we cackled. Okay,
so funny.
We had a ball. It's like, because it's Southern, it's LGBT comedy, so it's like all these, like, Southern belles, like, basically reading people for their bigotry. And awesome. I loved it. It was amazing. There's this one character, Leslie Jordan. If you don't know him, he was also, God, I can't remember his name, but he was Jack's nemesis in not Grace and Frankie.
Which one?
Will and Grace.
Oh, Will and Grace.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was on that.
Yes, he was Jack's nemesis. And of course, I can't remember his name, and he has such a great name, too. Jack and Karen's nemesis on that show. But Leslie Jordan, and he plays this character. What is his name? I don't boy, but he is a baby boy or baby brother boy. That's boy. It. Yeah. Brother boy.
Boy.
And
Boyd, isn't it?
No, Boy. B-O-Y. Yes. It's just Boy. No, Brother Boy.
Oh, man. Okay,
he's fucking hilarious. And his Instagram also is fucking hilarious.
Yes, he's amazing.
He's
so funny.
Fucking funny.
He's so good.
But yeah, so it was really fun to watch.
Yeah.
That was cute. We also watched, yes, we know it's not Christmas time. We know it's so far away from Christmas time. Mm-hmm. But we also watched The Night Before.
Yes,
and we hadn't seen that movie since it came out.
Yeah.
And we had a great fucking time.
Yeah.
Is it problematic? Absolutely. And the way all those fucking
it's
movies
got
are
a few
problematic.
parts,
But it's
yeah.
also great, too,
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. Including Ilana Glazer, like, stealing somebody's weed and full-on acting like the Grinch, what are they? The bandits, the sticky bandits. And Hans Gruber. Like,
all in the same fucking movie.
That right there is brilliant. And then, of course, Michael Shannon being his regular, charming, amazing self. Like,
he had like a really low kind of just chill sort of thing.
He was incredible. Like, he was so fucking funny.
I loved it.
But
good.
yeah, as we rewatched it, we realized, wow, we didn't really notice how religious this was the first time. Mm-hmm. I really didn't.
Yeah, they kind of like dropped that in at the end there. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. And I thought I said too, I was like, I bet you he's a fucking angel. And then he like sprouts wings. I was like, okay, see? Told you. Up top, guys.
We were not atheists when we first watched that movie. And this time we were like, a lot of this is really problematic. Right. But anyway, that's We Be Nerdin. We're going to wrap it up with some type of ways. And get on out of here.
We'll be on out. But thanks for sticking around. So, some type of way. Some type of way. Some type of way. Some type of way. Yeah. It's a fucking motherfucker, man. You fucking feel some type of way. Yeah. All right. Some type of way. So, what? I'm going first?
Yes.
Oh, you just silenced? Okay. I'm going first.
Yes.
So my some type of way, I was having this conversation on Facebook with this woman, and I don't know. I mean, she started out by saying that she was upset that there wasn't enough white representation when it comes to police shooting people on the news. And that's just straight from the get-go.
Care so much about that.
Right? It's like, first of all, the news does cover that shit.
Okay.
That's one of the answers there. It does cover it. It may not get as much attention because it's not indicative of systemic racism. You know what I mean?
But also, it's like, if y'all would get out into the streets every time cops killed white people, like, unfairly, like, it would matter more. Part of the reason it matters every time an unarmed black person is killed is because black people in those communities make a big fucking deal out of it, because it is.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's a good point. Yeah. But it was just frustrating. And so, like, I told her, I was like, pointed out, I'm like, and she did say all lives matter too. So I like had to correct that whole thing, went through that whole spiel, and then after that, she came back and was like, her defense was that she couldn't possibly be saying anything racist because, she was married to a Mexican guy. So I was, okay, all right, you're right. Yeah, you couldn't possibly say words that are racist then, I guess. I didn't know that,
That was a race shield.
Yeah.
Like, I have a racist shield. I decided to get legally married to someone that is not my same skin complexion or culture. So I can't possibly have racist beliefs about a whole different culture.
Right. Which, when you're saying racist shit, that shit doesn't matter, man. Like, that's my biggest point. Like, who cares who you're with and stuff? Like, if you're saying racist shit, the racist things that you are saying is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anything about that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's just, I don't know. And so, just having the conversation. And she went on to, when I was pointing out that that's not okay. And I was saying, too, that, you shouldn't hold people up as a shield, because that's, so I was like, you shouldn't do that, because that's just, that's what it looks like from here, is that you're using this person as a shield.
And what must that feel like for your partner? Like,
right, and that's, and... Yeah, totally.
Also, your partner could be racist. I don't know fucking know.
Right, yeah, who knows, right?
Like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's
like the point is, none of this is none of this is absolving you from saying racist shit.
Right. And then, as the conversation was going on, I thought that I was making some headway. She came back with, why do you hate your white skin so much? You need to not hate your white skin. That's all you're doing. And it's like, God, dude, it's like Mr. Strawman. Like, come in and just, this is like what I'm actually, you just, and I'm like, I never said that I hated my white skin. You're just making this shit up. And this, again, is a fucking white supremacist talking point. That's exactly what they say to each other. They're like, well, don't be acting like you hate yourself then. You hate your own people, huh? No, you fucking idiot. Just standing up for, and doing your best to help support other people and other, demographics doesn't mean that you hate yourself. That, and hate your own demographic. You just recognize a problem where it is and want to help. I mean, it's that fucking simple.
And understanding that you're not so different from the folks that you want to help.
Right. That's the biggest thing.
Like, I would also like to not get murdered in the street.
Right. And in order to do that, you have to listen. You have to listen to people, man. Like, that's all you gotta fucking do is just shut your mouth and listen to them. When anybody, and try to understand where they're coming from. Literally try to walk a day in their shoes in your mind and really think about things. It's not that difficult. But they just refuse to, because it's like, oh, no, what about me and my, what about all people? What about white people too? What if, it's like, why are you doing this? Why are you personalizing everything? Like, just listen to what I'm saying and actually empathize with me for a moment here, and that, if we can just do that more, and that's mostly what I'm trying to get people to do.
You should start asking, I wonder what would
shit.
happen if you start asking direct questions. Like, do you want police brutality to end for everyone?
Right.
And see what they say.
Yeah.
And then, from that, get sort of, because sometimes I feel, it almost feels like you're engaging with a bot, it's like they have
That's what it feels like most times, honestly.
It's just, the keywords are always in there. And it's like, wow.
Yeah, the buzzwords come out.
I almost feel like the direct questioning would help because...
Right, because they can't get around that.
Yeah.
They can't just go to Buzzword City and fucking put up camp.
And it's like, I wasn't even talking about that, but I guess, okay. You know what I mean? Like, right. I guess that's an answer to the question I just said, but...
And that was a couple times I had to drag it back because she kept trying to get off onto other things, and I was just like, we're talking about this right now. This is what we're talking about. You said the white representation wasn't enough on the media when talking about black people shooting people. That's what we're talking about.
Wait, she was arguing that the media doesn't show enough of when black people kill white people?
No. She was saying there wasn't enough representation of white people being killed by cops.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That was what
I was going to say, because that definitely isn't the fucking case. Like,
right.
I was just on, I think, Jacksonville's website earlier, reading Jacksonville, whatever their local newspaper is.
Jacksonville Times.
Or maybe like Channel 8 or something. I don't know.
The Jacksonville
And
Planet.
I was like, yeah. And I was reading a story. You know how local, like, newspapers are. They have, like, all these fucking ads everywhere.
Yeah.
And then they randomly have the pictures, like, the mugshots of people underneath the story. And it's always fucking black people. It's always black people.
Yeah.
It's always black people.
Oh, yeah.
You would swear in any given time, in any given city, only black people are committing all the crimes. It is absurd.
Right, yeah.
Absurd.
And I remember then, and I remember that like a while ago on Fox News when I first, started realizing things and watched Fox News, and it was just like story after story of just random black people in random cities doing random crimes, and they had to put it on the front page of their fucking news network. Like, why? Why are you picking these random fucking stories? You know what I mean? And always black people. Like, it was always a person of color, at least.
Go out of their way.
And they would go out of their way to say if they were Muslim or not. I remember that.
That was always so important.
Yeah, of course. Anyway.
So, that was some type of way, Brent.
Oh, thanks. I tried. So what's going on with you? What got you feeling some type of way?
So, I was talking to one of my friends, one of my oldest friends, because I actually do still have some high school friends. Randomly.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was talking to them, and they, were sort of talking about their parents' response to everything, everything going on with the protests and
right.
The backlash and all that stuff. And one of them was talking about, he was talking to his mom about, whatever. And she made this comment that like, the Bushes were the last two really good presidents that we had, and we haven't had a good president since. And of course he was like, well, but what? Oh, these are white people too, by the way. I'm sorry, I should have prefaced that. Of course they are. And he was like, what about Obama? Her response was, just didn't like him. I just thought that was fucking hilarious, because I'm just like, it is amazing to me, like, that you can't get away with that shit anywhere else except for like actors and like musicians and shit. Like, right. It is wild to me that you are fucking evaluating a president with the same criteria that you give to like Jennifer Aniston or something. Like,
right? That's what I was like. It just kind of has weird teeth, you know? And I just, no, it's not a good president. No,
I wonder what that teeth, thing was you just didn't like about him. What made Barack Obama...
The teeth, it was just the teeth. That's all.
Yeah. And it's really telling, too, because there's really no reason you shouldn't like Clinton at all, because Clinton literally gave y'all everything you wanted. Like... He is the reason we're in a lot of these fucking messes right now. Okay. Like, so the fact that you don't like Clinton at all, it makes no fucking sense. Like, if you like the Bushes, you like Clinton. Right. It doesn't make any fucking sense. How different was he? Really, like when we come to like neoliberal policy and like where we are now,
Republicans and Democrats were sort of still getting along at the time.
Oh my God, were they ever? I mean, getting along. They were still playing like, I don't want to talk about 1990s politics. Yeah, anyway,
it's weird. Whole thing.
So I know that the election coming up is getting more and more important, and people are wrestling with who they're going to vote for. And I know, and some people are like, I don't want to vote for either party, because they're doing this weird equivocation between the parties, which is disgusting and awful. And we really got to stop doing that. And no, the libertarian isn't better. The libertarian isn't better. The libertarian isn't better. Like, the libertarian isn't better. Y'all have been trying to get a libertarian or a third party candidate off the ground since like a really long time. And I hate to tell you, but our system's kind of rigged. And so it's going to be difficult for that to ever happen. And in the meantime, very real people with very real lives are being affected while you're trying to create a like from the ground up support for a third party candidate that's not going to lead to anything. Yeah. Like, real people in their lives are being terribly affected by the current administration. And so I thought what I would do also is give an opportunity to talk a little bit more about why we hate Trump, because I think a lot of people assume that we're just like the other side, which is we just hate Trump like just because, like we never gave him a chance, 'cause that's what they say, right? We never gave him a chance. The media is always against him. They're always making fun of him. Every little thing he does, like they just, so, we don't just hate him because of all the real policies that have been gotten a lot of attention that are awful. But let's talk about some other policies that maybe you don't know about. So a few years ago, Brent and I noticed that all of a sudden our hood started having a shit ton of storage units being built in it. And we were like, what the fuck is going on?
All over.
Like, literally within the span of like 9 months to a year, like giant storage units popped up.
We're totally surrounded
in our very like working class to middle class neighborhood. And we were really confused because we're like, did the demand for storage units suddenly just burst out of its seams? Does this mean Americans are literally like dying under their things that they need like all these storage units? What the fuck is going on? Sure enough, there were rich people Republican money games going on. Turns out Brent and I live in and are adjacent to what is called an opportunity zone. When Trump initially gave all those rich people that lovely tax break, he also gave them this lovely little program called Opportunity Zones program. In this program, you get basically paid money. You get loans, but of course they have almost no fucking, penalties on them. You get incredible tax breaks on them, and you get forever to pay them back. They're basically sweetheart, loans and whatever. And they can be forgiven after a certain amount of time if you do certain things. The biggest problem with these loans is that it was for certain areas called opportunity zones. Of course, vast majority of these zones, Black and brown people zones, because it's places where business isn't really present. There aren't a lot of businesses there, and so they're trying to get people to go and open up business. Of course, Democrats that wanted to get some provisions in there to make sure that they vetted everyone who got a loan, and they only did things that were that were in the interest of the community, meaning they would invest in things that community actually needed to hopefully change the community around, right? To increase the revenue of the community.
Right.
Well, they didn't do that. In fact, they put very few provisions in it, and a shit ton of wealthy real estate investors have basically used it to take up a shit ton of real estate in neighborhoods and are starting a new, roll on gentrification. Isn't it amazing? So in addition to a bunch of storage units that literally take up a ton of space and you only need 3 employees for, right. And does not bring wealth into the community. Oh. And also poor people can't use, working class people don't need storage units. That's not a demand there. So you're not really doing anything to revitalize the community. You're not doing anything to bring investment into the community. And they've also taken to building a shit ton of high-rise luxury apartments. And it's interesting, too, in these opportunity zone areas. And it's interesting because we also saw that, too. A shit ton of high-rise apartment buildings being built in downtown St. Petersburg. And we're just like, what the fuck? How can there be demand for this? The high rises we have downtown are barely at full capacity as it is. Why do they think building more apartments where a 1-bedroom starts at $1,560 is what this city needs? So it turns out all of the investors figured out, most of them real estate investors, same kind of thing Trump is, figured out that actually what we can do is just get in there, build things that give us an 11 to 12% return and get a bunch of yuppies in there to pay for it. And then eventually that neighborhood is going to be gentrified, because with the high-rise apartment comes the Starbucks, then comes the yoga studio, then comes all the other things that usually ends up pricing working class people out of their communities and becoming a gentrified neighborhood. And this is exactly the concern. And this is what's happening in cities all across America who've taken opportunity zone money. So then in 5 years, when they use this same, bill or this same program to say, this is why we got to stop putting money in these areas, because every time we do it, it doesn't turn out to mean anything. Look at it. We did the opportunity zones 5 years ago. We haven't seen any returns on that. The next time you hear that, because that's going to come up. I mean, it's going to happen. It's coming. No, that's because the fucking program was never meant to do anything to change some communities. Now, some investors have chosen to do things like build affordable housing or build some kind of work/housing center for unhoused folks in their area. So some folks are very much committing to that, but it is a drop in the bucket compared to the vast majority of really real estate firms that have received millions of dollars to build things like high-rise condos. And here's the funny thing that's happening too, is the folks making 6 figures are starting to get now that it doesn't make sense to go buy the $500,000 house. So they instead say, you know what, let's buy the $250,000 house. And so now the person who can only afford the $250,000 house says, okay, well, I guess we'll have to go get a $180,000 house. And then now you have working class people well, what the fuck are we supposed to buy?
Right.
We don't have houses that can be purchased. We don't have affordable housing, so I can rely on renting. What are we doing? And now we're taking real estate that's valuable real estate in places that is accessible to public transportation into city centers, and we're giving it to fucking storage units. Storage units. We would rather pay people to build storage units than just taking a 3% return on an affordable housing complex. That's what's insane. We would say, hey, yeah, investor, here's millions of dollars to build whatever the fuck you want. And you're going to take so much more from me than it would have taken to just build affordable housing. Just fucking build it. Just fucking build it.
It's not that difficult.
But this is America, where a 3 to 5 to 7% return on your investment is chump change now. You got to be in the big leagues. You got to make a 12 and 13% at every turn. Like, it is absolutely amazing to me how we've created a country that is basically saying, we don't give a fuck about anything except making money. That's it.
Yeah. It's a nation of con men.
That's it. And if it creates a bunch of, awful, externalities that we're now dealing with in awful ways, including, and that's leading to more awful outcomes, including the people that you think are irredeemable criminals, right? We're creating this. We're the pawns in this. That's what we're doing over and over and over again. And when you think that, they're both the same, the Democrats and the Republicans, they're the same, fuck you. The Democrats would not have walked out. First of all, a Democratic president wouldn't have signed this because the progressive wing would have realized how much power they had to make a difference, and they would have made a complete stink before that fucking bill got out of the House. And also, most moderate Democrats are in support of even minor things, like at least making sure when we give people money, they put at least this many jobs in that community. They make sure that at least these jobs pay at least this much to make sure that there's a living wage. That, like, if they're going to take the money, they have to do at least one small, because what if you're gonna do a fucking storage unit, would it kill you to do maybe 4 multiplexes too?
Right.
Like,
You
just
can do both
16
things.
apartments. Would it kill you? Like, can we just, like, 16? Like, every storage unit, you gotta also build 20 units of housing. Like, I mean, can we not figure out a way to solve, like, your greed and our housing needs? My God, can we come to a middle ground?
Right.
So, opportunity zones, look it up. If you live in a hood or adjacent to one, see if you're in it. It literally happened overnight. And then it just hit me. Like, I don't know what I was reading, but somewhat, like, it was about opportunity zones. And I was thinking, holy shit. The storage units. Yeah. The fucking storage units.
Yeah, that just popped up. And the high rises.
And the high rises.
Yeah.
Like, this makes sense because
Out of
who
nowhere.
builds when, like, you shouldn't have money to build this right now.
No.
And they're still working, mind you. Like, trust, we pass by those buildings every day, and those construction companies are still going to work. They are well funded, and they're well funded with our tax dollars. And all they're doing is creating even bigger issues that our tax dollars eventually are going to have to solve. And all those rich folks who made their 11 and 12%, are just going to be like, well, I made my money through hard work, so you just need to go out there and do that too. So there's one policy that you can at least say, this is why I don't like Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
That's it.
All right. Well, that was awesome. That was a good one.
That was
very informative.
We've been doing some research.
Yeah, no, you did. Like,
and we just found a lot of stories and wanted to make sure that we covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That was a good one. And we haven't done a long one in a while, but we're behind a week, so I want to give you.
We decided to give you a little
extra.
more. Yeah. We can rebuild.
That's right.
Like,
we can make it work.
Something that's fair and like where everyone's paid well for their labor, and we take care of the vulnerable. And I know I'm getting ridiculous. I'm sorry. I know.
No, it's all right. I love it. Oh man. So we do have to thank our patrons.
Thank you.
We want to thank all our patrons, but we have a new patron that we got to talk about. And that is the Sarah Talk podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love Sarah. Sarah and Becca are great.
Oh my God, we got to go back on that. We have to have them on our show.
Yeah, we still haven't. I gotta get back
that
with
needs
her
to
about
handle.
that.
We got to handle that.
Yeah,
come on, producer, social media manager.
My bad.
Get on top of it.
But thank you so much, Sarah. And she's at the $5 level too. So that means, and I got something to say about it, but. So that means she gets a song, right? And because the $5 level is what gets you a song. And exactly what happened, what happened was exactly what Nikki said would happen. And I should have listened. She wanted to make the song things higher, a higher level, and I was like, nobody's gonna pay $5, okay? And now we got 3 that I gotta do, okay? Because not only did Sarah do the $5 level, so did Larry, and Fat Tony and Johnny Tight Lips support the American Humanist Association.
Yeah, I love it.
That's Freethinker215. Thank you so much. And he's at the $6.66 level, which if we were Secular Soup, that'd be
Y'all,
the double
Brent
chili.
had a whole Charlie moment where he took out like red yarn and tried to figure out how our monthly amount on Patreon ended up, like how it can make sense when he gives, like, Freethinker215 gives $6.66. He just was like, how does this work? And I was like, babe, I don't know, but like, stop now.
It said $15 total. I was like, $6.66. You'd have to have 66 at least somewhere. That doesn't make sense. Like,
he legit tried to get there.
I figured it was, it didn't work. But so I do have all your songs coming. We've had limited time on the computer because Nikki's working from home, and we just usually that's when I would do the songs and stuff. So just be patient. They are coming, I promise. But I think we got to move the $5 limit up to 10.
Blame that on me and my job, but
yeah,
okay.
It's your fault. And so
even though there's a whole like evening time and weekend time in which I'm not working my job.
But then I'm going to be too loud while you're trying to do... Okay.
You better move it. Keep it moving.
Moving along. We will get them... I will get them done, though. I'm going to set aside some time next weekend and try to knock out a couple.
We appreciate your support so much.
Because I got them written. I just got to get them recorded. So they're coming. They're coming. Thanks for being patient. Then thanks for your patronage. And also the Utah Outcast at the $1 per month level.
We love it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you all so much. You're all awesome. And we'll get those songs out to you pretty soon.
And if you're interested in supporting the show, please go to www.patreon.com/Unapologetix. Spelled like the show. Exactly. So, Brent Lee.
Yeah. What
do we say to the haters, discriminators, and masturbators, shamers? Fuck off. Have a good weekend.